Hey, Bobby Manning here in New York City. A month after the Celtics had that meltdown against the Knicks at MSG, they're back in position. Able to make a run here in the Eastern Conference, and the schedule softened up. They've won 12 of their last 16 games, and they're in a great position to keep that streak going tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. We'll be live from Barclays Center with Celtics All Access, CLNS Media, Celtics post-game show, coverage of what should be a winnable game for the Celtics here. On the Nets side, after shoot-around this morning, James Harden announced as out for the Nets with that hamstring tightness. Plenty of speculation about what his future is going to be, and this could potentially be the last game for the Brooklyn Nets that James Harden is part of that roster for. Reports continue to circulate that the Nets are going to play ball in this conversation with the Philadelphia 76ers for Ben Simmons and whatever else will be coming back from Philadelphia. So that obviously is the biggest story everybody's going to be watching in New York City for the next couple of days. We will be here for the next day or so in case anything goes down. But I've shared my thoughts on that situation. I do believe all momentum points toward a trade happening before the deadline. An unimaginable blockbuster that would be one of the biggest trades in NBA history, sports history, if those two were to swap sides before Thursday's 3 p.m. deadline. A bunch has already happened. We'll get to that in another video here on Celtics All Access. Make sure you subscribe. But as for just this game tonight, no Kyrie, New York mandate, no Kevin Durant, the knee injury that he continues to recover from, and no James Harden, as I mentioned, no Nick Claxton, no Joe Harris, whose ankle is hurt. So essentially Brooklyn without their entire starting lineup, losers of 8 straight, one of the worst defenses in the NBA. You might see LaMarcus Aldridge get back out there. He was dealing with an ankle injury, missed Tuesday's game, or the game 2 nights ago. So Celtics fully healthy heading into this one should have the upper hand. There's not really a lot to talk about from that front, but a number of rumors continue to circulate heading into the deadline around the Celtics as well. MassLive reporting today that they have engaged conversations with the Los Angeles Lakers regarding Josh Richardson. A number of teams have apparently talked Richardson, inquired about Richardson, but as Heavy.com reported last week, Richardson may not be available. Given the good vibes that are around the Celtics, the winning streak that's going on right now, his fit in a closing lineup with the Jays, as well as lineups throughout the course of the game where he can score an upside of 20-25 points while playing good defense in. The team views him, Keith Smith tweeted out today, and we all assumed as the backup point guard in the situation where Dennis Schröder ends up getting traded. So Richardson, for now, looks like part of this team going into the future, unless the Celtics are blown away. The Celtics do, according to several reports, continue to be intrigued by the prospect of trading him up for Malik Beasley of the Timberwolves. He's obviously been talked about in a potential Marcus Smart deal if Minnesota's interested in acquiring Smart, as well as other things that would be coming back from Minnesota in that circumstance. That report feels old at this point, before the winning streak that the Celtics are going on. Normally you do hear about these trades after discussions are had and it's a thing of the past. But if Minnesota does become intrigued by the prospect of making a smaller deal, a smaller addition, possibly a pick thrown in there as well, you could see something like Richardson going to Minnesota for Beasley, and Beasley becoming that staple on the wing alongside the Jays. That is something, probably the ceiling of what the Celtics are able to pull off at this deadline. Now, do I love Beasley? No. He is a capable shooter. He is someone that could be with the team for multiple seasons beyond this one and be part of the core going forward at a reasonable price. I just don't love some of the criminal accusations that have been made against him, as well as the on-court play that has been streaky at best this year. He did have a great season last year, around 40% from 3. More of a reliable shooter than Richardson. Richardson's a better defender, better ball handler. I think I'd stick with Richardson if I had to choose between those two, even giving up assets. The Lakers thing with Richardson's interesting. I went back and forth a million times this morning after hearing that one, and that 2027 pick is not something you should snub your nose at when it comes to the Lakers. Now, that's beyond Brown's free agency in 2027 and certainly Tatum's as well in 2026. The 2027 Lakers pick, unless another team finds value in it at some point along the next coming years here, has little value to it. So it's hard to justify moving on from Richardson, who's helping the team right now, as well as taking on Talen Horton-Tucker, which is the part I underrated from this, who just does not look like a good player right now. Getting involved on the none thing where he is still off the court, going back to the offseason when the Lakers acquired him. He has not played a minute for the Lakers this year, so that's a massive question mark. And what I say in my Boston Sports Journal last week and 2 weeks before this, you're going to hear that THT none 2027 pick thrown around again and again and again, and probably end up having almost every team rebuff it. The Lakers just are not in a great position right now to make a deal, so they're going to throw that around as much as they can. Richardson would help them. I see Richardson being with the Celtics beyond this deadline. Now, the guy who almost inevitably is going to be gone after Thursday is Dennis Schröder, and you continue to hear a number of different things around him. The latest, after Matt Moore reported that the Bulls and Bucks do have standing offers out there on Schröder, that offer apparently that the Celtics weren't too enthused about, according to Jared Weiss, was Schröder and Grant Williams, who is now being coveted by a championship contender. That just shows how much Grant has grown this year. That could get a deal potentially done for Donte DiVincenzo coming back to Boston. DiVincenzo's interesting. Rock solid player for the Bucks last year. Starter, a guy that they really started to like and were interested in keeping around beyond this year. They obviously have rights to him, restricted rights going into this offseason, but he has returned from that ankle injury that ended his postseason early last year and has looked like a shell of himself, shooting close to 30% from the field, no real three-point shot that he's providing them, and he at times is out of their rotation. So at this point, Grant being younger, better shooter, and a better defender, all of a sudden a deal that looked like a slam dunk a year ago to pick up a DiVincenzo into the future for Boston doesn't look like it's going to happen. The Celtics did balk at that offer. There's still a chance that some sort of Schröder-DiVincenzo swap could be the framework of a deal, as well as Grant maybe being included in there, Jared reported. But I don't see that happening either. It just is a good thing that the Celtics are picking up real offers for Schröder, not just a salary dump, as I wrote about yesterday for CLNSmedia.com. Salary dump for Schröder, who has helped the Celtics as a spot starter, kicked the can off the lid for the offense, doesn't make much sense. We saw it in that Magic game again, 22 points off the bench. That's something that can help the Celtics here if they're trying to make a push. I do not see Schröder sticking around ultimately. I think they'll probably just take the best that they can get for him to avoid luxury tax concerns with multiple East starters potentially being injured heading into the All-Star game. There's still a chance that Jaylen Brown could be named to that team, even if he was not the replacement for Kevin Durant. Jason Tatum starting the game as well, we heard over the last day here. So there's still a chance that that $1.9 million for Brown could kick in. So to avoid the tax no matter what, this team is going to have to look at some sort of Schröder deal there. So Richardson, young guys, they're going to enter this rotation here, but is a team that's reliably 7 deep going to be sustainable through injuries, COVID, other things that could creep heading into the playoff time? That's a risky proposition. So as much as everybody hasn't loved Schröder and the Boston experience here, if they're trying to win heading into this postseason, keeping him around for the length of this deal is still something I would take a look at if there's nothing all that intriguing out there. I have heard within the last day or two here, do not count the Cavaliers out. I think there's still some interest there, as well as Jared reported today that the Cavaliers do remain a team in play for Schröder at this point. There is a package out there, Pangos, Dylan Windler, second-round pick, something like that. Ed Davis may be thrown in as well, that the Celtics could end up taking advantage of and rerouting other guys elsewhere. Cavs, despite that Karis LeVert trade, are still looking at Schröder. So that's the latest on the Schröder and Richardson fronts. Feels like Brown, Smart, Rob, Tatum, the core of the team is still intact. There will not be anything substantial or groundbreaking taking place in Boston ahead of the trade deadline. Numerous things to keep an eye on, though, so stick here with CLNS Media Celtics All Access in Brooklyn as we cover Celtics Nets tonight at Barclays Center. We will see you there, and even though things aren't rocking in Boston right now from a trade perspective, there is a bunch of stuff going on Tuesday as we record this around the NBA. So check out my other video on CJ McCollum becoming a Pelican, Domantas Sabonis becoming a King, and Tyrese Halliburton, who seemed untouchable, is now a member of the Indiana Pacers. I'll be talking about that in my other video. I'm Bobby Manning, CLNS Media, Celtics All Access, at Celtics CLNS on Twitter, at Real Bob Manning on Twitter as well. We'll see you at Barclays Center tonight.